Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the planning board meeting for September 21st, 2021. My name is Carrie Marnick. I'm chair of the planning board. Before we get started, I'm going to read a few announcements. This open meeting of the planning board is being conducted remotely consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of June 16, 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. All members of the planning board are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows the planning board to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. Now I'd like to confirm board members and persons anticipated on the agenda are remotely present and can be heard by saying the following. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Melly Milton? Here. Anthony Zaitin?
Here.
Michelle Gillespie?
Here.
And Amy Paretsky?
Here.
And staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Kathy Joubert?
Here.
Okay, we do not have presenters or applicants on the agenda, and we do not have public comment. So unless Kathy, you think I need to read that for any specific reason, I'm going to skip it. Okay, great. Okay, that's it for announcements. So why don't we get to the agenda, and just to make sure everybody's on the same page of what we're doing this evening. So we will have our public meeting until 6:30 p.m. tonight. We'll cover what we can in that time. And then at 6:30, we will make a motion to enter into executive session for the remainder of the meeting. So that the public is aware, we will not be returning to public meeting after executive session. The meeting will be adjourned at that time. Kathy, do we have to come back into public meeting to adjourn, or no, because we'll adjourn public meeting?
Right, you'll adjourn at 6:30 and then you'll go into executive session.
Okay, great. All right, so with that, we only have about 30 minutes. We have not too much for old business. I mean, we had originally anticipated that we would talk a lot about bylaws. So what I wanted to do, unless Kathy, do you have anything? You looks like you have an A&R for this evening. So that sounds like something we should cover as part of the problem.
Yep, I do have an A&R. I mean, I can bring that up right now if you want.
Sure, why don't we make sure we have time, we cover that so that.
Right. So let me just go into shared screen. Nope, let's see. Here's the A&R. Can everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so where we are is, this is Summer Street. South Street is out here. Beverly Road, just everyone's familiar. So this, these two houses are owned by the same family. And then this lot in between here, which is shown on the plan as parcel 2A and parcel 2B. This parcel right here in its entirety is jointly owned by the person that lives here, which are the Gleasons, and then partly owned by the person that lives here, which is their last name is Mueller. And so what they're, I don't know who that is, sorry. What they are proposing to do is, this has sort of just been like a, you know, a little bit of a no man's land. I mean, again, they both own it, but what they're doing is just cleaning up title and creating not two lots, but what they're going to split this lot so that part of it goes to the Gleasons and then part of it goes to the Muellers. And that's really the extent of the A&R. So again, it's a vacant parcel that's there. These two little pieces, you know, individually cannot be built upon, but they're just splitting it and adding it to each one of their properties.
Okay, any questions from the board?
Not
Will
for me.
they exist as separate lots on each of the properties, or will it be combined into, will their other lots be combined into a one lot?
Yes, this part of the vacant lot will be combined with the existing Gleason parcel. And then this portion of the vacant lot will be combined with the Mueller's existing.
Okay.
So that particular section of each property can't be built on. This just looks like maybe a frontage thing that they're, obviously they don't tell us the reason why, but.
Yeah, I mean, they don't state the reason why. People aren't required to state the reason why, but I mean, again, just looking at the lots and looking what exists on the GIS is, this is just a small vacant parcel that doesn't serve any purpose other than, it's kind of been a little bit of a green space between these two properties. So and it's jointly owned. So now they're just cleaning it up so that the Gleasons will own half of it and the Muellers will own that half of it.
Okay. Any other questions?
All right, so we'll have the plan, I mean, it's here in the town hall. So Carrie, if you, whenever's convenient for you, if you can stop by this week.
Sure. I'm just gonna just get a formal motion to approve
Yes.
and then just for good measure. So is there a motion to approve the A&R for 69 to 76 Summer Street?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Amy?
Aye.
Billy?
Aye.
Anthony?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
And Carrie's an aye.
Okay.
Okay, great. Just quickly, what I wanted to do, since I think we originally planned on talking about our bylaws a little bit more. Well, first, Kathy, is there anything else we need to cover so that if we end up at the end, we didn't miss it? The ZBA meeting is next on the 28th.
Yeah, the ZBA meeting's on the 28th. There's 3 hearings. One, which the board had asked that I, send you all out the material. So that did go out. You should all have that. That's the 200 Bartlett Street. And that's the redevelopment of that existing property with Kevin Lamy's automotive business to remain in the rear of the property. And the company that came before you a couple meetings ago, the Devereaux, by the last name of Devereaux, they're the ones that are pursuing the purchase of that property. So their first application is what's before the ZBA next week, which is a variance for the use in the groundwater 1 area groundwater 1.
Okay. And then that comes to us down the line as a special permit.
Yep, and site plan.
Okay. All right, and you mentioned there's 3. The 2 others are.
One is a pool and and one is a sign at Wegmans. They're changing lettering on their sign. So anytime lettering is changed, it has to come back before the board. So those are the other 2 applications.
Okay. Does anybody have any important subcommittee updates? They can't wait.
Okay, Kathy, we're not meeting Thursday, are we?
The design review, I had it. Well, it's still not confirmed, Amy, but I had it for the 29th. Was that
Okay.
That was the date that we were looking at?
I thought the 23rd.
Oh, you thought it was the 23rd?
Yeah, but
Okay.
now it's too late anyways, right? To put an agenda out.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I thought I had it as the 29th, but either way, you're not meeting.
Either
on the
way.
20th.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
You're
Yeah,
not meeting on the 23rd.
all right.
Okay. Amy, would you mind, not to put you on the spot, and Millie, of course, feel free to jump in. I know you're representing a different committee on the Master Plan Implementation Committee, but certainly your feedback is welcome here. A quick recap on MPIC? You guys just had a meeting this past week. Is there anything notable or that you wanted to mention or bring back?
Not really. I think Kathy's going to send us out an email on the next steps, right?
Mhm.
What we have to do. We're meeting again on the 30th. So,
September 30th is will be a meeting of the implementation committee without the consultant at that particular night. And then the next meeting will be October 21st. And so basically the first meeting was really just literally introducing each other and talking about why people, what their interest was as far as being on the committee. We went over a little bit of history on the master plan, and then started to talk about what the process of an implementation committee is all about. And so I have some handouts that the consultant prepared. I can certainly share those with the planning board. Those are going out to the implementation committee this week, along with an agenda for the 30th. And on the 30th, it's basically, again, more of just people getting to know each other and talking about having reviewed, their homework is to review the priorities in the implementation chapter, and then to talk about people's priorities.
Okay. Any board questions on that?
Yeah, I'd like to just go back on what we discussed at the last meeting, which would be Millie. I understand that you're representing the Historical Society, Historical Commission end of it.
Mhm.
And so that you would basically go back and look at any of the zoning that we're proposing that possibly could wait until the following year, or what the Master Implementation Committee is considering, and that we're not going to go back and redo it again the following year. So you're sort of tying in with that. Remember, you had a couple of things that you were going to go and talk to them about. So I'm assuming that will be done for one of our upcoming meetings. And likewise with Amy, she would go back and look at any of those priorities. Are they things that we're discussing right now with zoning? And we sort of should be working simultaneously with the Master Plan Implementation Committee meeting and what's coming out of that. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I think it's so close to 2022. I don't think we're going to get that deep into bylaws with the implementation committee yet. We're really
Right,
just,
so that's why I don't want to be doing a bylaw if you're going to be redoing a bylaw the second year.
well, I looked at other towns and they were doing bylaws a year before the master plan. You can't wait 5 years.
Well, at
Things-
least let's wait and see what you guys are deciding, but I think good conversation about both of them is important.
Yep, but things take time and they say not to stop. Keep going, even if the master plan isn't even done.
Okay, so that's great. That's underway. In terms of just what we were talking about for planning board rules and regs, was there anything there, Kathy, with what anybody else is doing for timing, or should we just set our own timing? And
What I can do, Carrie, for the next meeting, because I do have some responses
great.
that have been coming in. So let me just organize those. It's kind of, it's across the board. Some towns don't have any limit, or deadline. And then other towns do. They have, some have found it worked, some have found it doesn't. So let me just put that together a little bit, in a clearer summary
Sure.
for you.
That'd be
And,
great.
Yeah, so we can do that at the next meeting.
Okay, with the last half of the meeting, unless there's anything else we should cover, I'd like to hold the minutes just so that we can use this last bit of time, just to make sure we have a plan for bylaws. Is that okay with everybody if we table the 9-7 minutes to October 5th meeting? Yep.
Sure.
Okay, so, obviously we don't have a lot of time to talk bylaws tonight. And I think the last time we met, we're still in the phase where we're looking at different options, each of us are advocating for different amendments, and we had some different homework assignments. So I want to make sure that we can, still move forward. So I was thinking maybe over the next couple of weeks, we don't meet again until October 5th. If you do have a homework assignment, I guess I'll use loosely, and you want to share that information in advance. Kathy, is that something we could route through you or me, just so people can see it? We're not deliberating it really, we're just sharing information.
Anything that people want to forward me, certainly do that, and then I can send it out to all the board members. I wasn't in the office last week, so that's why you received Amy's information today. I had a lot of catch up to do yesterday, just in-house with phone calls and so forth. So the information, which I'm sure Amy's going to touch upon, that did just all go to you today.
Okay. Amy, do you want to take a second to just explain the material? I mean, you don't have to open them up or go in depth, but just like maybe touch upon what each one is and how it's relevant to a certain bylaw, not to put you on the spot again, but that may be helpful.
Okay, well, what I sent out today was the brewery bylaw, and we had talked about it last year. So I really just went and found my own old files. And I also went and looked at surrounding towns to see what they did for a brewery. And I just sent it out. So it's probably best if everybody just reads it for next time. It's only about 2 pages.
Mhm.
And then we can talk about it more in depth. And then some that don't seem to have bylaws, and I don't know if Kathy has time to reach out, like Hudson has quite a few breweries, and I didn't see them even have it in their bylaws. So if you want to ask them, you can. If not, we're Northborough, we can do it the way we want. So we could just look at what the other towns did that I sent out. And the other one I sent out, which I thought was really interesting when we're talking about trucking, is the town planner of Sutton had worked with Central Mass Planning on some definitions for warehouse and distribution. They have 3 like fulfillment centers, and I don't have it open, but there were 3 different definitions for warehousing. And I just sent that out as a start. We had talked, there are different types and we might break them down. So I think Kathy today sent out what they did for bylaws and their definitions. And then did I send out another one? Oh, Dark Skies.
Dark
Dark
skies.
Skies has a lot of information. Southborough's doing it. So it's actually information if you want to read about it more. They talk about it they really go in depth talking about commercial, industrial, and residential. I don't think I would touch on the residential part of it because it seems like a lot right now. And it might be overreach at this point because no one's complaining. But I just wanted to send out the information about Dark Skies because I've brought it up a couple times. And I was going to review it before October 5th. It might just come down to one sentence saying that, the lighting plan is Dark Skies compliant. All the engineers seem to know what it is when we discuss it, and most of them do it anyways. So that's pretty much what I sent out. While I was looking at other bylaws, though, I really started looking at site plan conditions and special permit conditions, because one thing that was talked about at the master plan, a lot of people are concerned with environmental factors. And I felt like there were conditions in other towns while I was scrolling through looking for breweries that added a couple extra conditions that had to do more with the environment, and they might be relevant to us. So I'll share it before October 5th. But that was it.
Okay, does anyone want to add anything about the bylaws that we've talked about? Any updates from your end or that you wanted to bring up tonight? Okay, so coming back to it, just so we know what we're working on next, I'm just going to refresh our list to make sure that we all have the same list in mind here. So Amy just went through hers. Was that pretty much all that you had at this point, Amy? Oh, no, there were more. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. So we have sober homes. And so we have some homework on sober homes. Kathy, did you relay anything to Bob about that to let him know that we're looking at it again, or?
Yes. Yeah.
Great. Okay. And then Millie, if you had any additional information, it's okay if not now, obviously, but maybe the first step is really just hearing from Bob in general.
Yeah, because I don't want to end up basically either duplicating our own efforts or spending a lot of time down the wrong path on that.
Yep, got it. Okay. Breweries, Amy sent information over to us. We were also going to hear at some point input, and obviously not for next time. It's not necessary to rush, but just we talked about getting Fred or the Fred or DPW to talk about the viability of downtown with any sort of water requirements. We talked about signs downtown. Anthony, you had some homework there. We talked about allowing more in industrial zones. Historical, we touched upon, Michelle brought up circling back with MPIC, but also Millie, I don't know if, do you have another meeting scheduled for Historical Commission anytime soon?
Next, no, we just had one on Monday.
Okay. Because one thing I had mentioned last time that I just want to make sure, so there were a few items that Norm had brought up before that sounded like it was not time sensitive in that something would happen as a result of not, well, maybe it is, maybe something could happen. So I think there are some properties downtown that would be nice to figure out if we have a district or some sort of bylaws around them so that, you know, so if we have to wait 2 years, maybe that opportunity would no longer be there. So I just wanted to check in with Norm about any time sensitive thoughts that may impact timing for us. So if you happen to have a meeting, great. If not, I don't mind reaching out to him.
Yeah, we won't have another one for another month. So they're once a month.
All right, so maybe it's not even a rush. If it happens to come up at the meeting, that would be great.
Okay.
Kathy, you had the home occupation item, and that was about the cars. Let's see. We had conversion only in downtown. That was some of the information. I don't know why I put it under this item, but this is where I noted, Amy, you were sending information from Sutton. Was that really, that wasn't just related to conversion only in downtown. That was about definitions.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right, I must have just wrote my notes under the wrong bylaw. We also had the information from MIS GIS. Is that something, Kathy? So this sounds like they're still working on that.
Yes, yep, and they're hoping that a program has to be written in order to do the frontage. And with me gone last week, I have not checked in with GIS this week yet. So I'll get another update on that for your next meeting or prior to your next meeting.
Okay, great. And I see we received an email from the Aaron Hutchins, who originally approached on this. Can we communicate back to him that we're still researching it and that there is time? I feel like there is time to navigate through this. Are we concerned at all about not having enough time? Or I know he had some concerns about time. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, it all depends on what it is that you want to do with the information. You know,
Right.
You know, if it's well, I mean, just leave it at that. You know, if it's you know, if it's something that you want to talk about, you know, changing frontage, you know, so that what that ultimately results in is additional lots being created, you know, you might want to look at, you know, and spend some time looking at what the impact of that might be. But if it's just something about saying, I mean, you know, if the data shows that it's, you know, 5 parcels, I tend to think it's going to be many more than 5 parcels, but let's just say, you know, that a change would only affect 5 parcels, you know, that's a little bit easier to you know, that would require a shorter time frame to write something about that. So,
Okay.
So we need that data first to find out what, in fact, if you are going to change something with frontage or square footage, as to how many lots that's going to impact.
Okay, got it. The overlay, it sounds like the developer there is presenting draft language. For the moratorium, Kathy, you were going to ask the planners how and why they impose moratoriums. I don't know if you had, I know you're out last week, so that's just something I have here.
Oh, okay. I must have missed that on because I had originally sent out some questions to a limited group of planners, and then yesterday I sent it out to the whole mass planners listserv, but I did not include the moratorium. So that's easy enough to send out.
Okay, you're going to be a frequent flyer on the planners distribution list.
Harry, I just want to clarify. So on the overlay that the gentleman is going to write his own bylaw, you're saying that's okay without any subdivision plans or any plans behind it?
No, I'm personally not. It just sounded like the last time we talked, the board was interested in seeing that language.
but he's not responding to anything that staff is requesting.
Oh, I'm not clear on that. Is that true?
Well, no, I mean, no, not so much what we're requesting. We just haven't heard from him. So but you know, that's up to him. You know, he's the one that came to you and came to us as staff and said that he wanted to work on something like this and that he was going to propose language. So we need to get that from him, you know, if that's something that he wants to pursue for this town meeting. And that's a lot of ifs. You know, you may not like what he's proposing at all. I think what Michelle is referring to is just that we have said as staff that if they are going to present a bylaw, that, you know, just like our other overlay districts, we should have, you know, that yield plan, that subdivision plan, you know, preliminary plan as part of the process. Excuse me.
Yep. So I have that in my notes about the yield plan. It doesn't have to be an engineering plan. It's just what, you know, what they could do with the current bylaws versus what the overlay would look like. So that's still something on the list here, but I just thought at the last meeting, the board still was interested in draft language. Is that not true? Do we still want to see that draft language, or do we want to see the yield plan first? It's not my personal preference. That's just what I understood from the board.
Is this for the industrial zone?
This is for the overlay on Ridge Road.
Oh, that one. Okay, because we talked about the major commercial development overlay. That's different. Okay. Ridge Road. Yeah.
Carrie, can you just refresh on, I was just looking through my notes of the last meeting. Can you just refresh what it is you want me to ask about the moratorium? If other towns have proposed a moratorium on industrial development?
Yeah, I don't know if it was just a general question. I just have how and why other towns are imposing moratoriums.
Okay.
Is there, I don't know, some sort of, obviously in this case, it's about trucking. So I don't know if we intended to find out trucking specific. I know we've done our own moratoriums in the past. So maybe it was really about anyone around us who has imposed this type of moratorium or similar moratorium.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we're down to the last. So back to that. Do we want to see some draft language? What does the board want to do for that one? I mean, does it hurt to see the draft language and then go back to the yield plan?
I'm just assuming you're going to ask him to follow the process, which is that he should create or submit a yield plan. I just want to make sure that is not lost. So,
Okay.
Okay. Language is one thing. The yield plan should be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense. So that said, do we still want to see some sort of language? I guess we don't have to decide tonight, but that was what I had here in my notes for next steps.
And I don't even think it's something we decide. I think anyone who wants to come forth to the planning board and propose something, we can listen to it and then say yay or nay, or we think it's a good idea, we don't think it's a good idea.
Or here's what you need to do next.
Mhm.
Get a yield plan in place.
We already did that, by the way. Came before us. We gave him his instructions. Have not heard from him.
I know, but
Make
this
sure the
is
yield plan is part of that.
Yeah.
right. This isn't deciding on the layout. He's actually wants to write an overlay. He wants to write an overlay to bring to town meeting next year.
It's part of the process, aiming for bringing an overlay.
Right, I understand that. I think he wants to change bylaw wording.
It's part of the process for doing an overlay, but we can talk about it once he presents it to us.
Okay, that sounds good. We'll do that. And then just with the last minute here, we also have groundwater committee. We have dark skies. Amy set the example for, and did I miss anything? Use variance. So I will reach out to the ZBA on that one. Okay, I am going to shift over. I want to make sure we have enough time for our executive session this evening. Before I make this declaration, do I need to adjourn the public meeting? Well, it seems like I would need to still be in the public meeting to make this declaration, or else.
Well, I know it is kind of a like chicken or egg, but you, as far as you saying going into executive session, part of that language, Carrie, you referenced that, you know, the board will not be returning into public session.
Okay, so I am calling for a motion to adjourn the public meeting,
Yes.
the public portion of our meeting.
Yes, and then adjourn to the executive session.
Okay. And without making the declaration first, because then there's language around why we're going to executive session as well. All right, I'm gonna make this one big motion. How about that?
Yep. That's
Okay, and it's gonna be a long one, so this is gonna be a so moved unless anyone dares to repeat it. Okay, I would like, is there a motion to adjourn from the public portion of our meeting and go into executive session under chapter 30A, section 21A3 for the following purposes declared by the chair, in which we will not return to open session at the conclusion of executive session. The reasons that I'm declaring executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21, subsection 3, which is litigation. 1, regarding the Gutierrez Company versus Northborough Planning Board Land Court Case number 21 MISC 000380. If the chair declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the board. 2, also by MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21, subsection 3, litigation regarding the Gutierrez Company versus Northborough Planning Board Land Court Case number 21 MISC 000046. If the chair declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the board. And 3, pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21, subsection 3, litigation regarding Abu Construction, Inc. and KA Realty, Inc. versus the Town of Northborough and Northborough Planning Board, Worcester Superior Court, Civil Action Number 1985, CV 00178. If the chair declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the board and the town.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, Amy,
Aye.
Millie,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Anthony,
Aye.
and Carrie's an aye. Okay, the planning board will move into executive session, and again, for the public, we will